ඔව් මෛත්‍රී ගුණරත්න මහත්මයා බොහොම ස්තුතියි ඒ අදහස ඉදිරිපත් කරාට මං ඉන් එහාටත් යන්නම්. මං හිතන්නේ හැම සමාජ තලයකම මෙවැනි පුළුල් එකතු වීමක් අවශ්‍යයි. එක වචනකින් මේක සාරාංශගත කරන්න පුළුවන් නම් එකමුතුව කියන අදහස. ඒ සංකල්පය තමයි දැන් ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න ඕනේ. තවත් කළු ජූලියක් සිදුවෙන එක වළක්වන්න. එකමුතුව කියන එක. සර්ව සාමයික, ඒ කියන්නේ සර්ව ආගමික මට්ටමේ ආගමික නායකයින්ගේ මට්ටමින් එකක්. සර්වපාක්ෂික මට නම් තේරෙන්නේ ඇයි පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ සියලුම පක්ෂ එක්කව කරලා මේ පිළිබඳව යම් කිසි ප්‍රකාශනයක් කරන්න බැරි සහ ස්ථාවර කමිටුවක් ඇති කරන්න බැරි. ස්ටෑන්ඩින් කමිටි. පිළිගත් දේශපාලන පක්ෂ ඊට වඩා පුළුල් පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ නියෝජනය නොවන දේශපාලන පක්ෂත් තියෙනවා. ඒ සර්වපාක්ෂික එකතුවක් අත්‍යවශ්‍යයි මේ ප්‍රශ්න ගැන. වෙන කිසිම ප්‍රශ්නයක් ගැන නෙමෙයි. අපි අන්තවාදයට විරුද්ධයි. ප්‍රචණ්ඩතාවයට විරුද්ධයි. අපි එකමුතුව සියලු ලාංකිකයන්ගේ එකමුතුව වෙනුවෙන් පෙනී සිටිනවා. ඉතින් ඔය මූලික සංකල්ප වලට හැමෝම පක්ෂයි කියලා කියනවනේ. ඉතින් කියනවා නම් ඒක වේදිකාවකට එන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්න ඕනේ. ඒක එතකොට ජනතාව දකින්නවා. ඒක තරුණ මට්ටමින් ශිෂ්‍ය මට්ටමින් විශේෂයෙන්ම ශිෂ්‍යෝ අතර මේ විෂකුරු මතවාදයේ ගෙනියන පිරිසක් ඉන්නවා. ඒක මහා සාපරාධි ක්‍රියාවක්. අත් වශයෙන්ම අපි මතක් කරන්න ඕන හුඟක් දේවල් තියෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ අපේ හමුදාව ගත්තත් හමුදාවේ ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨ වීරයෝ කී දෙනෙක් හිටියද මුස්ලිම් ආගමික? මේජර් ආසාඩ්, මේජර් මුතලිෆ්, ෆාස්ලි ලෆීර්, කර්නල් ලෆීර්, ඒ වගේ කී දෙනෙක් හිටියද? කී දෙනෙක් තාම ඉන්නවද? ඉතින් ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ හිත හදවත පාරණ විදිහේ වැඩ තමයි මේ ඊනියා දේශප්‍රේමීන් කරන්නේ. ඉතින් තරුණ මට්ටමේ නගරවල, උපනගරවල, ගම්වල හැම මට්ටමකින්ම මේ වාගේ අන්තවාදයට එරෙහිව එකමුතුවක් ආරම්භ කරන්න පුළුවන් නම් මේ සියලු බලවේග පුබුදු ජාගර මහත්තයා මෛත්‍රී ගුණරත්න ඔය හැම පක්ෂෙම කට්ටිය ඉන්නවානේ. ආගමික, කාන්තා, ශිෂ්‍ය, තරුණ, කම්කරු හැම මට්ටමකින් බලමුළු ගැන්වීමක් අවශ්‍ය වෙනවා මේ රට විනාශයකින් ව්‍යසනයකින් රකින්න. මම හිතන්නේ ඒක ඊටාත්ම මේ මොහොතේ අවශ්‍යම දේ අපි කළ යුතුයි. බුද්ධිමතුන්, කලාකරුවා හිතන්න පුළුවන් හැම සමාජ කණ්ඩායමක් ස්තරයක්, පන්තියක්, උපස්තරයක්ම ඒ විදිහට මේ සමගි සම්පන්න භාවයක් කරා ගේන්න ඕන. මේ මූලික අගයුම් නැත්තම් මූලික වටිනාකම් මානවවාදී humanistic values මත පුළුවන් තරම් සංකේන්ද්‍රගත කිරීමක්, රාශීභූත කරණයක්, ඒක රාශී කිරීමක් කළ යුතුයි. ඒකට මම හිතන්නේ අපේ අනුරුද්ධ ප්‍රදීප් සහෝදරයා වගේ ඒ සහෝදරු සියලු දෙනා එක්කව කරන්න පුළුවන් නම් හොඳයි. Yeah, we won the time and space for Sri Lanka. We won 3 years between 2009 and 2012. The Geneva Consensus of 2009 was broader than the consensus that the United States has been able to achieve for its resolutions in 2012 and 2013. The USA managed to get 24 and 25 votes. We managed to get 29 votes in 2009. But the time and space that we obtained for the country was squandered, was lost. We have moved in the wrong direction, or we have been stagnant. I think Javed made some references about that. We have therefore lost the time and we are running out of space. We have a clear and present danger in the configuration that is emerging in South India and India as a whole with the elections coming up in 2014. We are losing the space we have internationally. The space is shrinking, and this is because of the sins of omission and commission of this regime. Because the people who supported us, like Brazil, countries of the third world, which supported us in 2009, have voted against us in 2012 and 2013 or have abstained. So this is not to do entirely with the Tamil diaspora, because there are no Tamil voters in Brazil the last time I looked, or in Uruguay, or in Peru. or in Argentina. And this is not about the United States and its satellites or its allies, because Uruguay, Peru, Brazil, these have ex-urban guerrillas as leaders. These are progressive, left-wing governments. And all of them supported us in 2009. So something is going very wrong. Something is rotten. And that is why we have lost the international space, and we are facing an extremely dangerous situation. And this situation is at least partly, maybe even preeminently sourced in the domestic direction, the domestic policies of domination instead of leadership. This is what has happened.
Said that it was his realization of the futility of war that made him convert to Buddhism, and his conversion had everything to do with Buddhism coming to this country. So in some sense, leave aside the other religious traditions, I find it very difficult to reconcile with the idea that true followers of Buddhism can support a war, in whatever form it is. But that's a philosophical issue that I grapple with. I don't agree with Dr. Jayatilaka that was a just war. Today, this evening, we heard many people actually comparing the Bodubala Sena with the LTTE and saying, like you must understand the LTTE, you must also understand the Bodubala Sena. So in that direction, when you talk in that direction, we are willing to understand the LTTE, but not in the other direction. That's why I made an oblique reference to 30 years, 1956 to 1986, so perhaps around that time. The Tamils did not take up arms. Everything that they asked for, which now has been recognized as legitimate, particularly the language rights, was by peaceful means. First was on Golface Green in 1956, a Satyagraha, and that was violently beaten up. All the leaders were beaten. Constantly, whenever the Tamils raised their voice in democratic ways to ask for their rights, they were given a good thrashing. 1958, 61, 77, 81, 83. So all that time they were beaten. I am not justifying the emergence of the armed struggle by the Tamil youth, but it is in that background that it emerged. And you must realize that it emerged not in this country, it actually started in the UK. The first two militant Tamil movements were GES and EROS, General Union of Eelam Students, and Eelam Revolutionary Organization of Students. And those were people who could not enter university in Sri Lanka because of the standardization policy, and whose parents mortgaged their lands and sent them to the UK to study. Dr. Jayatilaka is shaking his head violently. His own colleague in the EPRLF, who's a TNA leader and MP now, Suresh Premachandran, is a prime example of that, who went to the UK to study, but from there went to Lebanon for training. Now, so this is the background. So if you want to understand backgrounds, you must understand the background. So to suppress that, I know that if there is breakdown of law and order, the state has a duty to respond, and to that extent engage in the LTTE militarily. State had to do. I don't grudge that, but I think the way the LTTE was crushed, particularly in the last stages of the war, where it was not merely the LTTE that was crushed, but the objective was to crush the spirit of the Tamil people. When large numbers of civilians were bombed, knowing that there were civilians holed up in that area, they may not, it may have been LTTE's fault that they kept them as human shields, but nevertheless the government knew how many civilians were there. knowing very well that there were near 400,000 civilians, to trot out figures that there were only 70,000 reveal something that the government had in mind, that the numbers were going to be drastically reduced. So the way it was brought to an end, and if is cannot in any way be accepted, and that is now being played out. I think what we are seeing in the society now is a necessary consequence of us putting up with that kind of violent crushing. We put up with it in 88 and 89. I don't agree with that either. 88 and 89, large numbers of Sinhala youth were put to death. More than 60,000 in a space of about 2 years. That cannot be condoned by any right-thinking society. So we put up with these things. We are passive. We allow these things to go on. So I am extending what I said earlier about the passive nature of the majority, the silent majority. And if we allow these things to go on without protest, this is the kind of continued tension that we will have in our country.
Suma, I have to object to that. I disagree entirely. In the first place, my point was that it was a just war, but it is an unjust peace. And there have been wars which have been just wars, like the Israeli Six-Day War, which was a just war, but it has been an unjust peace. And that is what we have today. I'm afraid your chronological history is quite wrong. The Tamil New Tigers was formed in 1972. And even before the Gesa and Eros, there was the Ilavidutala Yekam, which was formed in 1974. Now I know this not only because I know my history, but because the founder of the Eros, E. Ratna Sabapathy, was not only a friend of my father's, he bought me my first copy of Louis Althusser in London in 1973. So it's not true. The TNT, the Tamil New Tigers, including Prabhakaran, was formed in 1972. Now, the problem is not with the emergence of the Tamil armed resistance. I think that was justified. That was understandable in 1972 after the Constitution. Don't confuse that with the fascism of the Tigers, because most of the movements that you're talking about, the Gesa and Eros, were wiped out by the LTT, including my friend Comrade Padmanabha, the leader of the EPRLF, and 10 of his Central Committee members. Suresh Premachandran survived because he went out for smoke. And the entire Central Committee was wiped out by the Tigers in Chennai, by the same unit that the next year killed Rajiv Gandhi. Now, what has Rajiv Gandhi got to do with Sinhala chauvinism? It is only a fascist movement that could have, after the Indo-Lanka Accord, could have taken on the IPKF and finally assassinated Rajiv even after the IPKF had left. And in the face of fascism, there is no other way. We tried everything. Every government tried to negotiate. The Indians tried to negotiate. There was no other way than the way it played itself out. And I'm afraid that while we have to be sad about the tragedy, whether it was Dresden or Hiroshima or Nagasaki and how terrible they were, it does not mean that the war of the Allies against fascism was an unjust war. It was a just war. However, after World War II, there were enlightened policies, just as after the American Civil War, where there was the scorched earth tactic against the South, the march to the sea, the burning of Georgia by General Sherman and Grant. All of that was far worse than what you saw in Nandikada. There were enlightened policies thanks to Lincoln. But that has not been done in Sri Lanka. So I think that is our tragedy. An essentially just war, not in every aspect, an essentially just war, but an unjust peace.